Two giants of Russian literature, Tolstoy and Dostoevsky. Lev Tolstoy and Fyodor Dostoevsky, the two great writers of the 19th century who profoundly influenced Russian and world literature, have been compared to each other for centuries. Interestingly, despite being contemporaries and sharing the same social environment, the two writers never met face-to-face or wrote a single letter to each other. They were in the same place once in their lives. In 1878, they listened to a lecture by the philosopher Vladimir Solovyov on the man of God. But no one introduced them to each other. They both expressed their opinions about their greatest rivals in letters to Strachov, the famous critic of the time. They never had any other contact. In fact, it is said that Strachov prevented them from meeting. In a letter to Strachov, Dostoevsky described Tolstoy as a peasant novelist and said that he had nothing more to say. In fact, he wanted to tell him that I am the new voice of Russia. And Tolstoy said, I have read the brothers Karamazov, how devoid of art. In a word, devoid of art. The characters do exactly what is not expected of them. It's almost banal. One reads it and knows in advance that they will not do what they should do, what is expected of them. It's an astonishing lack of art. Even though they never had a point of contact in their lives, they always followed each other's work closely. Therefore, they did not hesitate to point out the things they liked about their strongest rivals in their works. Dostoevsky, in his book Diary of a Writer, emphasizes that Tolstoy was a genius and that he made extraordinarily high art, saying, people like the author of Anna Karenina are the teachers of society. We are only their students. After reading Memoirs from the House of the Dead, Tolstoy, on the other hand, put Dostoevsky even above Pushkin, saying that he had never read such a good book in modern Russian literature, including Pushkin's works. Tolstoy even writes in a letter to Nikolai Strahov after receiving the news of Dostoevsky's death from an epileptic seizure. I wish I could say all that I feel for Dostoevsky. I never met him, and we never had any direct contact. Suddenly, when he died, I realized that he was the closest, dearest, and most necessary person for me. Even though two writers of the same era have approached each other's art in such a fair manner, the comparison of Tolstoy or Dostoevsky has been one of the most debated topics among literary circles and readers since the 19th century. Lev Tolstoy and Fyodor Dostoevsky, the two great writers who reached the pinnacle of Russian literature, are icons who left their mark on the literary world with their fascinating works that bear the traces of the period in which they lived in the mid-19th century. Both of them painted profound portraits of humanity through their literary works, exploring the complexity of human nature and universal issues. Lev Tolstoy, a traveller, in search of the meaning of life and the ideal of humanity. Lev Tolstoy stands out not only as a great writer, but also as a thinker, moralist, and social reformer. His most famous works, such as Anna Karenina and War and Peace, deal with the values and moral responsibilities of society and the inner conflicts of the individual. Common themes in Tolstoy's works include love, loyalty, faith, criticism of the social order, and the search for inner peace. The author offers the reader a journey into the depths of human nature through in-depth character analysis. Tolstoy's works cover a wide period of time, focusing on historical events as well as universal human problems. His writings offer readers both a historical perspective and help them understand the universal trials of man. In his literary works, Lev Tolstoy often seeks the ideal of humanity. His works often deal with universal moral values, man's social responsibilities, and universal moral norms. Tolstoy's characters struggle not only with individual inner conflicts, but also with social norms. His works have a broad epic narrative and often cover historical events. Universal themes. Tolstoy focuses on universal themes in his works, allowing readers to connect across time. Historical perspective. Tolstoy's works often cover historical events and reflect a broad time period, giving readers a deep historical perspective. Moral responsibility. Tolstoy's works emphasize the moral responsibility of his characters and their efforts to conform to social norms. Fyodor Dostoevsky, a traveler in the depths of human psychology. Fyodor Dostoevsky, on the other hand, is known as a writer whose works often explore human psychological and moral conflicts. His works such as Crime and Punishment, The Brothers Karamazov, and The Idiot question the limits of crime, sin, salvation, and human will. Dostoevsky often portrays his characters in moral dilemmas and examines their inner conflicts in detail.